can't do this anymore. I feel terrible about what happened. I'm so sorry. I can't believe you told that story. I haven't laughed that hard in ages.
You really liked that one, didn't you?
Alex, you can't just ignore this. It's serious.
What do you want me to do, Daniel?
I can't. We have to tell them the truth.
And then he actually said that.
No way, that's hilarious.
Why are you holding back, Daniel? I know you have the files.
I don't care what you think you know. This stays between us.
I never thought love could hurt this much, yet here I am, staring at my phone, trying not to call her for the 5th time in an hour. Maya doesn't reply. Of course she doesn't. She's busy. She's always busy. I sigh and drop onto my worn sofa, the spring squeaking beneath me. Man, you're staring at that thing like it's the last piece of pizza on earth, Daniel says, leaning against the doorframe, a smirk tugging at his lips. I don't get it, I mutter, not looking at him. Why doesn't she answer? I texted her 3 times this morning. Because she doesn't have to, he says bluntly. Since when did your life revolve around whether Maya texts you back? I grit my teeth. Since forever. I mean, she's important, Dan. More than anyone. Daniel shakes his head. You're losing yourself, man. You've been busting your ass at work, giving her money, covering her bills, canceling plans with your mom, and what? She barely notices. I don't care about that, I say, defensive. I just want her to be happy. Bro, her happiness doesn't come from you bending over backward, Daniel says, folding his arms. It comes from her choices. And right now? You're letting her step all over you. I'm not, I say, though my voice cracks. I love her. Isn't that what matters? Loving someone means putting them first, doesn't it? Daniel laughs softly, but it's not funny. It's supposed to, yeah. But when putting her first means erasing yourself? That's not love, man. That's martyrdom. I stare at him, trying to argue, but I don't. Deep down, I know he's right. But what can I do? Every time I imagine life without Maya, my chest tightens, my stomach knots, and I feel hollow. My phone buzzes. A message. From her. Hey. I'm on my way. Don't wait up too late. I exhale, relief washing over me. See? I whisper to myself. She cares. She just has a lot going on. Daniel raises an eyebrow. Or maybe she's just lazy with communication. I shoot him a look. You're impossible, you know that? He grins. Yeah. Someone's gotta keep you from becoming a doormat. Maya finally arrives, slipping through the door with that smile that used to make me forget everything else. Hey, she says, brushing past me like I'm air. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was a nightmare. I force a smile, my heart hammering anyway. It's okay. Really. I was worried. You worry too much, she says, tossing her bag onto the couch. Then she notices the stack of bills on the table. Wait, are these? Yeah, I say quickly, before she can scold me. I took care of them. Don't worry. Her eyes flicker with something, maybe surprise, maybe impatience. You don't have to do everything, you know. I can handle some of it myself. I swallow. I know, but I want to. I love you. She laughs softly, shaking her head. You say that a lot. I bite my lip, ignoring the sting. Because it's true. She shrugs and flops onto the couch beside me, phone in hand. You worry too much. Honestly, sometimes I feel like you're trying to control me or something. I tense. I'm not controlling. My voice falters. I want to be there for you. Yeah, she says lightly, tapping her screen. I know. You're sweet. But sometimes, I just need space. I nod, swallowing the lump in my throat. Space. Right. Because loving me isn't enough. Later that week, Daniel corners me outside the office, arms crossed. You look like hell. What's going on? I'm fine, I lie, forcing a smile. Don't. Just don't. He steps closer. Look, I've been trying to tell you. Maya's pulling away. You can feel it, right? I glance down, ashamed. Maybe. But maybe I'm just being paranoid. Or maybe you're seeing it clearly for the first time, he says, voice low. You give her everything. Money, attention, your heart. And what do you get back? Love, I whisper. I get love. Daniel snorts. No, man. You get crumbs and excuses. Don't fool yourself. She's slipping away, and you're letting her. I swallow hard. I can't. I can't just leave her. I can't. Then at least protect yourself. Don't let her walk all over you while you lose yourself. I nod silently, feeling guilty for thinking of myself even for a second. But the truth is, Daniel's words stick. Somewhere deep inside, I know he's right. At home, my mother calls, her voice weak but warm. Son, did you eat today? I had some noodles, Ma, I say, forcing cheer into my tone. How are you feeling? I'm okay, sweetie. Just tired. She coughs softly. I worry about you, too. You've been working so hard. I'm fine, I say again, but this time it's hollow. I glance at the pile of bills, the empty fridge. I'm supporting everyone. Maya, my mom, myself, barely. I just want you to be happy, she murmurs. Don't let anyone make you forget your worth. I close my eyes. Worth. That word burns in me like fire. I love Maya, yes. But sometimes, I wonder if I love myself at all. The next evening, she calls me from her friend's party. Hey, can you come pick me up? Of course, I say, rushing over. My mind spins with jealousy and worry. Are you okay? Did something happen? No, it's fine. I need you. When I get there, she stumbles slightly as I help her into the car. Her perfume fills the space between us. I feel that familiar pull, the one that keeps me forgiving her every misstep, every cold look, every late-night disappearance. Thanks for coming, she whispers, resting her head against my shoulder for just a moment. You don't have to thank me, I murmur. I'll always be here. She smiles faintly, but I catch a shadow of something, hesitation? Regret? Or something I don't understand yet. I know, she says softly. Anne. I appreciate it. As I drive her home, I feel a flicker of hope. Maybe this is it. Maybe we can fix everything. Maybe she's finally realizing how much I love her. I glance at her sleeping peacefully in the passenger seat, and my heart swells. I whisper to myself, I'll never give up on you, Maya. Never. When I drop her off and she kisses me lightly on the cheek, I feel like the luckiest man alive. Good night, she says, her voice soft, almost tender. Good night, I say, my chest tight with a mix of love and fear. As I drive home, I think about Daniel's warning, my mother's words, the bills, my exhaustion, and yet, all of that fades in the warmth of that tiny kiss. Maybe everything will be okay, I tell myself, knowing deep down that I'm already losing control of my own heart. And I don't care. Not yet. I should have trusted my gut that night. But I didn't. I kept telling myself I was overthinking, that Maya was just tired, that Daniel was being dramatic. I should have listened. I parked 2 blocks away from her apartment, pretending I was passing by, just curious. My chest thumped against my ribs as I watched her through the glass door. And then I saw him. Victor. He wasn't just a friend. He was smiling at her in a way I used to hope she'd smile at me. Close, intimate. My stomach sank. I clenched the steering wheel. No. This can't be happening. Relax, I muttered to myself, but my hands were shaking. Then I heard her laugh. Light, teasing, casual. My blood froze. That laugh was mine to hear, not his. I crept closer, trying not to breathe too loud. And then, the words hit me. God, you're amazing, Victor said. I don't know why you ever wasted time on him. I froze. My name. Her name. Spoken like I didn't exist. You think I wasted time? Maya replied, and my chest dropped. I stayed because he was convenient. Nice, sweet, boring, but he doesn't excite me. Not like you. My hands tightened around the wheel until my knuckles were white. Boring? Me? I sank lower in my seat, not sure if I should scream or run. You're unbelievable, Victor said, laughing. I can't believe she stayed so long with him. Pathetic. Pathetic. My heart stung. My brain screamed. I shouldn't have moved. I should have confronted them right there. But I couldn't. I just listened. And the rest of the words, they cut deeper than any knife. I know, Maya said. I was too weak. Too scared. He's dependable, I guess. But I never loved him like I love you. Love you? My chest felt like it had been crushed. Love. She uses that word for me, but never meant it. Victor laughed. You really should have left him sooner. You wasted years. I felt like vomiting. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Finally, I ducked behind a car, tears stinging my eyes. How could I have been so blind? The next morning, I went straight to her apartment. I had to know. I had to face her. Maya, I said, knocking until she opened the door, sleepy, casual. We need to talk. She blinked, hair messy, still in pajamas. Oh, sure. What about? Don't play dumb, I said, voice low but trembling. I saw you last night. Excuse me? Her brow furrowed. I swallowed hard. I know about Victor. Her eyes widened. Then narrowed. You were spying on me? I don't care, I snapped. I know what you're doing. I know you never loved me the way I loved you. She crossed her arms, leaning against the wall. Wow. You're angry. Angry? I shouted. I'm heartbroken. Betrayed. I spent years loving you, Maya. I sacrificed everything for you. She laughed softly, and it stung. Sacrificed everything? Oh, please. You loved yourself less than you loved me. And guess what? I didn't care. I staggered back. You didn't care? I didn't. Not really. You were safe. Predictable. And I wanted excitement. Someone who made me feel alive. That's him. I wanted to hit something. Or scream. Or vanish. Instead, I just stared, speechless. You always thought you were enough, she continued, softer now, almost pitying. But you weren't. Not for me. I shook my head. I gave you everything. My time, my money, my heart. Exactly, she said, with that cruel, light tone. And I never asked for any of it. I never needed it. You were just convenient. Convenient. Me. Convenient. I backed up, chest heaving. I can't believe you. How could you do this to me? Maya shrugged. I could say the same. I did what I wanted. You were always going to forgive me anyway. My throat burned. You used me. She looked at me like I'd said something funny. I did. And honestly, I enjoyed it. You're predictable, safe, boring. I wanted someone who challenges me. Someone who excites me. That's Victor. The world tilted. My hands shook. My knees felt weak. I swallowed and tried to find words that wouldn't come. You don't get it, I croaked. I loved you more than myself. I trusted you with everything I had. She smiled, cold and detached. And that's your mistake. Loving me more than yourself. You should have loved you first. But no, you were too busy loving me. Too busy thinking I'd always stay. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Every memory, every moment, every hope, shattered. You don't even care that I'm hurt? I whispered. Care, she said lightly. Why would I? You'll be okay. You always are. I didn't need you to be happy. I needed to be happy. I wanted to scream, to beg, to cry, but my body wouldn't obey. I stumbled out, muttering something I didn't even understand myself. That night, I walked alone, letting the cold air hit my face. Daniel called. Where are you, man? He asked. I didn't answer at first. My voice was raw when I finally spoke. I saw them. Together. She doesn't care. She never did. Silence. Then, I told you. I know. I know you did. But I thought it was my fault. It's not, he said firmly. You can't control her. You never could. She made her choice. And yeah, it hurts like hell. But you're not weak, man. You're alive. You're better than this. I laughed bitterly. Better? I don't feel better. I feel destroyed. You will, Daniel said. Just don't let her destroy you. You're stronger than you think. I hung up, tears streaming freely. My hands shook. My body felt empty, but something deep inside clicked. I realized I couldn't stay like this. I couldn't let her decide my life. Weeks passed. I barely slept, barely ate. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them laughing together, heard their cruel, careless words. But then, slowly, my anger started to build. Not against myself anymore, not against the world, against her. Against Victor. Against the injustice of it all. I spent nights muttering plans, ideas, ways to reclaim my life. I wouldn't let this betrayal define me. I wouldn't stay broken. And yet, every time I saw her smile in passing, every time someone mentioned her name, I felt that hollow ache in my chest. The night it all hit me hardest was when she texted me, almost casually. Can we meet? I want to talk. I held the phone, hands trembling. My mind screamed at me to burn it, throw it away, forget her entirely. But another part of me wanted to hear her lie, wanted to feel that warmth one last time. I didn't reply that night. And for the first time, I realized the person I loved more than myself was gone. I woke up that morning feeling like I'd been run over by a truck. My head throbbed, my eyes burned, and my chest ached with a heaviness I couldn't shake. The apartment felt smaller, darker, emptier. I'd lost her, but I hadn't lost everything yet, at least, not officially. My phone buzzed. A reminder, rent due. I stared at the amount and laughed bitterly. Great. Just what I needed, I muttered. Daniel knocked on my door, his usual smirk replaced with concern. Damn, man, you okay? I shook my head. Not really. How could I be okay? My voice broke. She never cared. Daniel frowned, stepping inside. I know. But screaming about it isn't going to fix anything. You need a plan, man. You can't just let this break you completely. I don't have a plan, I said, flopping onto the couch. I barely have money. I can't even pay the bills this month. Mom's sick, Maya's is gone. And my voice faltered. I don't even know who I am anymore. Daniel sat beside me. That's the thing, man. You're you. Maya just made a mistake. Victor's an idiot. That's their mess. But you? You're the one left standing. Right now it hurts, yeah, but that pain, it can be fuel. I laughed weakly, more like a groan. Fuel? My chest feels like it's on fire, Dan. I feel hollow. Empty. Pathetic. You're not pathetic, he said firmly. You're alive. You've got options, you just don't see them yet. I shook my head. I don't even know where to start. Everything I worked for, everything I thought I was building, gone. She was my world, my dream. And now she threw it all away. Daniel sighed. Bro, maybe you need to let go of the dream. Start fresh. You're too smart, too capable to just let heartbreak destroy you. You need something else, something yours. I stared at him, silently wishing he'd be wrong. But he wasn't. Deep down, I knew he was right. Later, I walked to my mother's apartment. She greeted me with a weak smile, frail but warm. Sweetie, you look exhausted, she said, her hand brushing my shoulder. Have you been eating? Not really, I muttered. Just busy. She frowned, concern etched into every line of her face. You can't keep ignoring yourself like this. You're all I have. I can't. I can't see you break down too. I'm fine, Mom, I lied. Really? You're not fine, she said softly. I can see it. Don't lie to me. I swallowed, holding back tears. I don't know what to do anymore. Everything's falling apart. Shoo, she interrupted, grasping my hand. Don't blame yourself. You're a good man. You've done everything right. Some people, they're just selfish, my son. That's not on you. I nodded silently, wishing I could believe her. I spent the next few days in a haze, barely eating, barely sleeping. Work piled up and I couldn't focus. My boss noticed, called me in. Are you okay? He asked, leaning against my desk. You've missed deadlines, and your reports, it's not like you. I'm dealing with some personal stuff, I said, staring at the floor. You need help? He asked. I don't think anyone can help, I muttered. You'd be surprised, he said, almost kindly. Just take care of yourself, okay? I nodded. Another reminder that life doesn't wait for heartbreak. Daniel showed up again that night, dragging me to the local bar. Drink, he said, sliding a beer across the table. You need to get some distance from yourself, at least for a little while. I picked it up, cold liquid in my hand, my mind heavy. I don't even want to think about her. But I can't stop. Every memory, every laugh, every lie, it's all stuck in my head. Daniel leaned back. Good. Let it hurt. Don't ignore it. Face it. That's the first step to getting stronger. I feel so useless, I whispered. I loved her more than myself, Dan. I sacrificed everything, and for what? Nothing. She never cared. She didn't even respect me. Daniel's eyes softened. And that's her problem, not yours. You loved fully. You were brave. Most people can't do that. That's not useless. That's strength. You'll get through this, but only if you stop punishing yourself. I took a deep breath, letting his words sink in. Strength. I feel so far from that. You're closer than you think, he said firmly. But you have to choose. You can stay broken, or you can fight back. You can't do both. I stared at him, the truth burning into me. He's right. The breaking point came a week later. Mom called me, panicked. Sweetie. The hospital, they want to operate. I don't have enough money, she said, voice trembling. I froze, heart pounding. How much? 10,000. I don't know how we'll. Don't talk. Don't worry, I said, voice sharp but controlled. I'll handle it. Don't say another word. I hung up and stared at the wall. $10,000. I had maybe 1,000 to my name. But suddenly, that desperation sparked something inside me, a spark I hadn't felt in months. Survival. Responsibility. Rage. Determination. I won't fail her, I whispered to myself. I won't fail anyone. I realized then that this was it. My life wasn't over because Maya betrayed me. It wasn't over because I was broke or exhausted or humiliated. My life was over if I didn't take control, if I didn't fight. And I would fight. That night, I called Daniel. I need your help. I'm done being pathetic. I need a plan. A real plan. I need to start over. From scratch. Finally, he said, voice sharp but excited. I've been waiting for you to snap out of it. All right, first things first, you're moving. New city, new job. Cut ties. Completely. I can do that? I asked, unsure. Yes, he said firmly. You have no choice. You either rise, or stay here and rot. Pick one. I choose to rise, I said, heart pounding, a strange warmth spreading through me. I can't stay here. I won't. Good, he said. We'll start tomorrow. Pack your stuff. I'll help you figure everything else. You're not alone, man. I know, I said, feeling the first thread of hope in months. Before hanging up, I sat in the darkness, thinking of Maya. The betrayal. The lies. The humiliation. Every memory surged through me, raw and unforgiving. And I promised myself something. I would never be the same again. Not weak. Not heartbroken. Not used. I would rise from this. I would rebuild. I would survive. And someday, she would see what she threw away. But that day wasn't tonight. Tonight, I would take the first step toward becoming someone she could never hurt again. And I would start with me. I didn't sleep that night, but I didn't feel exhausted either. Something had shifted. Rage, desperation, heartbreak, they'd fused into a single, sharp purpose. I was done waiting to be broken. I was done being weak. The next morning, Daniel showed up with a duffel bag in hand. Ready? He asked, grinning. I nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. He clapped me on the shoulder. Good. New city, new life. No looking back. You'll hate me at first, but trust me, you'll thank me later. I hope so, I muttered, staring out the window, imagining the old apartment, the bills, the echoes of Maya's laughter that haunted me. By the time we arrived in the new city, the sun was sinking behind tall buildings, turning the streets gold. My chest tightened, anticipation and fear twisting together. I had no job lined up, no apartment yet. But I had Daniel, determination, and a gnawing hunger to reclaim myself. First step, Daniel said, find a job. Something that keeps you busy, keeps you learning. You're not the same guy anymore, and you can't afford distractions. I nodded again. I'm ready for anything. The job hunt wasn't easy. I spent days walking into offices, dropping off resumes, and sitting through interviews that left me more exhausted than I'd been before. Some days, I felt invisible, like the world had forgotten me entirely. One afternoon, I walked into a small startup office. Papers scattered, phones ringing, people rushing everywhere. I could almost taste the energy. It was chaotic, demanding, alive. Can I help you? A woman's voice asked. I looked up. She was in her early 30s, calm but commanding, eyes sharp and hair tied back. I'm here about the job posting. Marketing assistant? She studied me for a long moment. Name? Alex, I said, swallowing. My heart raced. Follow me, she said. I'm Sophia. Let's talk. Sitting across from her, I felt a strange mixture of nerves and determination. I know I don't have much experience in this exact role, but I learn fast, and I work hard. I want to prove myself. Sophia raised an eyebrow. Prove yourself? That's good. I like confidence. But this job isn't about confidence. It's about results. Can you handle pressure? I can handle pressure, I said firmly, trying not to sound like I was lying. Inside, I thought about everything I'd survived, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the nights I spent wondering if I'd ever see sunlight again. Pressure? I've been living under it every day for months. Good, she said softly. We'll see. The first week was brutal. The office was chaotic, the hours long, the work exhausting. I made mistakes, learned from them, and stayed late to fix them. But something inside me was stirring: confidence, pride, a sense that I was building something just for me, something no one could take away. One night, Sophia found me hunched over my laptop, eyes bloodshot. "You're still here?" she asked. I looked up, startled. "Yeah. I want to finish this campaign draft." She leaned against the desk, arms crossed. "You're overworking yourself. You're not trying to impress me. You're trying to prove something to yourself, aren't you?" I paused. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe both. "You don't have to explain," she said gently. "I can tell. You've got fire in you. Just make sure it doesn't burn you out before it becomes your strength." Her words hit me harder than I expected. "Thanks," I muttered, looking down at my hands. "Alex," she said softly. "You're not like most people. You're driven. I can see that. Just don't lose yourself in the process. That's the hardest part." I swallowed, thinking about Maya, about my mom, about Daniel. "I won't lose myself again," I whispered internally. As days turned into weeks, I started noticing subtle changes. I walked taller. My voice sounded steadier. People at work began asking for my input. I wasn't invisible anymore. One evening, as we stayed late to finish a big project, Sophia leaned over my shoulder. "You're improving fast." I didn't expect this much dedication. "Thanks," I said, glancing at her. I need this. More than I can say." She smiled faintly. "Good. Just you remember, success isn't revenge. It's growth. Don't let bitterness drive you. Let it teach you." I nodded silently. Her words settled like stones in my chest, heavy but grounding. "Growth, not revenge," I repeated in my mind. "I can do this." The nights were quiet when I got home, but I didn't dwell on the past. I called my mom instead, checking in, sending money, and talking to her like she was the anchor I needed. "You sound stronger, Alex," she said one night. "I can hear it in your voice. I'm proud of you, son." I smiled, even though tears prickled. "Thanks, Mom. I'm trying. I won't let the past ruin me." "You never will," she said softly. "You've got fire in you. Always have." But even as I pushed forward, my mind couldn't help but wander. Occasionally, I'd catch a glimpse of a photo of Maya online, laughing with someone else. Part of me wanted to burn the phone, scream at the world, but the other part just watched quietly, calm, silent. I realized then that my power wasn't in hating her. It wasn't in revenge. It was in building myself so fully, so completely, that she couldn't matter anymore. She couldn't touch me. And that thought made my chest swell with something I hadn't felt in months: hope. By the end of the month, my performance at work had improved, my confidence was growing, and I started saving money again. Daniel called one night. "Look at you," he said, voice teasing but proud. already becoming unrecognizable from the wreck I left behind. I feel different, I admitted. Stronger, I think. But also, quieter. Calculating. Focused. Not thinking about her constantly anymore. Good, he said. That's exactly where you need to be. Keep this up. Keep rising. One day, you'll look back, and it won't even hurt anymore. I hope so, I said, staring out the window at the city lights. I have to hope so. I have to keep moving. That night, as I finally lay down, I thought about the road ahead. The fights, the nights, the sacrifices, it wouldn't be easy. But for the first time in months, I felt a spark I hadn't felt since before Maya: control. Control over my life. Control over my destiny. Control over myself. And that control, that silent power, was intoxicating. I closed my eyes and whispered, "This is just the beginning." I stared at the reflection in the glass window of my office. The man staring back wasn't the broken mess who cried over Maya's betrayal. He was taller, sharper, more confident. My hands no longer shook when I picked up the phone. My voice no longer trembled when I spoke. For the first time, I liked who I had become. Daniel slid into the office, grinning. "Looking at yourself like that again?" I smirked. "Can't help it. Feels weird to like what I see." "You earned it," he said. "Years of blood, sweat, and bad nights. And look at you now. Who'd have thought?" "Me," I muttered, shaking my head. I had to imagine it. I had to force it into being. Work had changed me more than I expected. I was running my own team now, my ideas shaping campaigns, my decisions affecting outcomes. People listened when I spoke. I didn't just survive, I thrived. One afternoon, Sophia walked into my office, holding a stack of papers. "Alex, the new project proposal needs your approval," she said, calm as ever. I glanced at her, noticing the way her eyes softened when she looked at me. "Thanks, Sophia. You always know when to hand things over." She smiled faintly. "I just know you can handle it. You've changed. I see it in the way you command attention, even without trying." I leaned back in my chair. "Changed, yeah. I had to." "You weren't just broken before," she said softly. "You were lost. And now, you found yourself again. It's impressive." I laughed lightly. Impressive? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. That evening, I walked through the city streets after work. The lights reflected on the wet pavement, shimmering like a promise. And then I saw her, Maya. She was with Victor. Laughing. Leaning into him like he owned the world. My stomach twisted, but this time, it wasn't fear. It wasn't heartbreak. It was calm, controlled, almost curiosity. Daniel appeared beside me, noticing her instantly. "Oh. That's convenient," he muttered. I shook my head. "No. Not convenient. I don't feel anything I used to." "You don't?" Daniel asked, raising an eyebrow. I feel like I could walk up to her, say whatever I wanted, and leave without caring," I said slowly. "Because she doesn't control me anymore. She doesn't get that power." Daniel laughed softly. "Finally. That's the look I've been waiting for. You're untouchable now." I smiled faintly, and the thought warmed me. Untouchable. That's exactly what I had become. Weeks later, my business had expanded beyond what I thought possible. I was financially independent, emotionally grounded, and respected by everyone around me. Sophia and I had grown close, our bond deeper than I could have imagined. She wasn't just a mentor, she was the calm in my storm. One night, she leaned on my shoulder as we reviewed some campaign numbers. "You've done amazing things, Alex," she said softly. "I've never seen someone rise so fast. But tell me, do you feel peace?" I closed my eyes. Not fully. But I feel something better than peace. I feel control. I'm not haunted by the past anymore. I'm building my own future. Her hand brushed mine, and I felt a warmth that had nothing to do with Maya. That's what matters. Don't let anyone take that from you. Ever. Then the text came. From her. "Alex. I can't believe it's you. You look different. Better. Can we meet?" I stared at the message for a long time. My fingers itched to type something snide, to make her feel a fraction of the pain she caused. But I didn't. Instead, I showed Daniel. "Read it," I said. He laughed, low and satisfied. "Oh, she's feeling it now. The hunter becomes the hunted. Enjoy it." I shook my head. I don't want revenge. I want her to see that I moved on. That I'm untouchable. That she can't matter anymore. Daniel smirked. "You're already there, man. She just doesn't know it yet." When we met for the first time since that night, Maya's face froze the second she saw me. "Alex, she stammered, as if words had betrayed her. I smiled faintly. "Yeah. It's me. Different, right?" You look amazing," she said softly, trying to regain composure. I didn't expect. You didn't expect I'd move on?" I interrupted, calm, steady. "Or that I'd get better." Her eyes widened, panic threading her features. "No. I mean, Don't bother explaining," I said, cutting her off. "I'm not the same guy you left behind. I'm not broken. I'm not weak. And I'm not waiting for your approval." Her lips parted, like she wanted to say something, but I could see it in her eyes: regret. Fear. A faint trace of admiration. But admiration for the wrong reasons. She began. "Save it," I said softly. "You made your choices. I made mine. I moved on. I built myself. You can't touch that anymore. You're too late." The silence stretched between us, thick and heavy. I realized she had finally understood. The man she thought she could control, break, or manipulate no longer existed. Days later, I sat in my office with Sophia, reflecting. "I saw Maya today," I admitted, sipping my coffee. Her face when she saw me, priceless. And yet, I didn't feel the old anger. Just calm. Sophia smiled faintly. "Good. That means you've truly moved on. The past doesn't control you. You do." "I do," I echoed, letting it settle in my chest. I built everything she didn't believe I could. I rose from nothing. And she sees it now. But it's too late for her. Always too late. She nodded. "Exactly. That's victory, Alex. Silent, powerful, complete." I leaned back, letting the words sink in. For the first time in years, I wasn't running from pain, betrayal, or failure. I was running toward something. Something mine. Something untouchable. Later that evening, I called Daniel. Guess who just texted me again? I asked, smirking. Let me guess, begging, he said, laughing. Almost, I said. She's just shocked. She can't believe what she sees. Good. That's how it should feel, he said. You're untouchable now. Don't let her change that. I won't, I said firmly. I'm not looking back. Not even once. And I didn't. Because for the first time, I understood something I never had before. Success isn't just money, power, or respect. Success is freedom. Freedom from heartbreak. Freedom from manipulation. Freedom from anyone who ever doubted your worth. And now, I had it all. I didn't expect to hear from her again. Not after the last time. Not after I made it clear I was untouchable, that my life had moved on without her. But there it was, a text lighting up my phone. Alex. I messed up. Can we talk? Please. I stared at the screen, a strange mix of satisfaction and indifference washing over me. Satisfaction because finally, she felt what I had felt for months. Indifference because I no longer needed her validation. I showed Daniel. He whistled low. Karma's on your side. She finally realizes what she lost. Yeah, I said softly, gripping the phone. But I don't feel the old anger. I feel calm. Good. Don't ruin that, he warned. She doesn't get a second chance unless you want her to. Remember that. I nodded. I had learned that lesson well. I met her at a quiet cafe, she suggested. My mind was clear, my chest steady. No more panic, no more heartbreak. I was a man in control. She arrived, looking nervous, dressed carefully, hair perfectly done. The familiar effect she used to have on me, power over my thoughts, my chest, my every move, was gone. I saw her for what she was now, just a woman, flawed, human, and regretful. Alex, she began, voice trembling. I didn't realize. I was wrong. I never should have left you. I. Stop, I said, calm but firm. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Don't pretend. I've heard enough lies before. I'm not the man you think you can manipulate anymore. Her eyes widened. I'm sorry. I shook my head. Sorry doesn't undo the years, Maya. It doesn't undo the nights I cried alone, the sacrifices I made, the trust one gave you blindly. I was stupid. I didn't see it. She trailed off, words failing her. Yeah, I said softly. You didn't see it. And that's why you're here, asking for something you can't have. You lost your chance a long time ago. She reached across the table. Please, just hear me out. I leaned back, shaking my head. No. I'm not your audience anymore. I'm not the man who bends for you, who sacrifices everything. I'm not that weak anymore. Her face fell. Panic, fear, regret, all laid bare. Alex, please. I realized what you meant to me. I can't lose you again. I smiled faintly, the kind of smile that didn't soften but burned quietly. You already did. I wasn't in your life anymore the moment I realized I had to save myself. You can't take that back. She leaned in closer, almost desperate. Please. I can fix it. I'll change. I'll. You think changing matters now? I said, voice calm, almost cold. You think apologies, late realization, tears, they matter now? You had your chance. And you wasted it. Tears glistened in her eyes. Alex. I thought you'd always chase me. I thought you'd never leave. I. You thought wrong, I interrupted softly. I didn't chase you. I didn't beg. I didn't break. I moved on. I rebuilt myself. I became someone you couldn't touch, couldn't manipulate, couldn't control. And that's exactly what I needed to do. Her lips trembled. Alex, please. No, I said, firm. There's nothing more to say. You had your chance, and you threw it away. Now, you live with it. That's your lesson. After she left, I sat in silence, drinking my coffee, letting the weight of the encounter settle. I felt no joy. No vengeance. No pride. Just clarity. Daniel called. How did it go? He asked. I leaned back, smiling faintly. She finally sees it. She finally regrets everything. But I don't feel the rush I thought I would. No anger, no heartbreak. Just calm. Just me. That's because you're free, Daniel said quietly. You're finally untouchable. Nothing she says or does can hurt you anymore. I nodded. Exactly. That's what it means to survive. To grow. To rise above the people who broke you. The weeks that followed were strange. Maya tried calling, texting, even showing up at my office once. But I handled it all the same way, calm, collected, untouchable. No reaction, no anger, no hope. Just me. One evening, Daniel asked, "Don't you miss it? The chaos, the heartbreak, the fire?" I shook my head. No. I don't miss it. That fire nearly destroyed me. The chaos nearly killed me. I survived it, and now I'm stronger. That's enough. He smiled. I'm proud of you, man. You've turned pain into power. That's not easy. Most people never get there. I leaned back in my chair, sipping whiskey. Yeah. I guess that's why I'm different now. I'm not the same Alex who cried over Maya. I'm better. I'm stronger. I'm untouchable. Then one day, Sophia called. Alex, there's a business opportunity. Big one. But it's risky. It'll take all your focus. You ready for it? I paused. Yeah. I'm ready. I've been waiting for something like this. Something to push me further. Good, she said, smiling faintly. I trust you. You've grown so much, and it's only the beginning. Her confidence in me, it grounded me, reminded me why I'd started this journey. Not for revenge, not for Maya, but for myself. Later that night, I walked past a familiar cafe, the one where Maya had tried to manipulate me with apologies. I glanced at the empty table, the ghosts of past conversations, the echoes of tears and rage. And I realized I wasn't that man anymore. That Alex was gone. He had died in the fire of betrayal, heartbreak, and loss. What remained was someone stronger. Someone unbreakable. Someone untouchable. And as I walked home, I thought of Maya, and I felt nothing. No anger. No desire. No pain. just calm. And for the first time in years, I smiled without guilt, without fear, without longing. I was free. I hadn't expected her to show up. Not here, not now. And yet, as I walked into my office that morning, there she was, Maya, standing by the window, her reflection framed by the rising sun. "Alex," she said softly, almost cautiously. "Can we talk?" I didn't move. I didn't greet her. I just studied her, taking in the same nervous gestures I'd memorized years ago. "Alex," she started again, but I cut her off. "Don't." My voice was calm, almost cold. "I don't need explanations. I don't need apologies. And I don't need you back in my life." Her eyes widened. I thought maybe I could." "You thought wrong," I interrupted firmly. "You had your chance. You threw it away. I'm not that man anymore. I'm not weak. I'm not heartbroken. And I'm not yours to manipulate." She took a small step closer. I never stopped thinking about you. I made mistakes. I realize that now. Please, just give me a chance to explain." I laughed softly, shaking my head. "Explain? You left me. You lied. You hurt me. And now you want a second chance? Maya, I don't chase. I don't beg. And I certainly don't forgive people who never deserved it in the first place." Tears glistened in her eyes. "Alex, I was stupid. I didn't appreciate you. I love you. I always have." I shook my head again. "Love? You don't know what that means. You confused obsession, selfish desire, and convenience with love. I loved you more than myself. I gave you everything. And you didn't even notice." "I know now," she whispered. I see it. I was wrong. Please." I took a deep breath, letting the silence stretch. My chest felt light, unburdened, like a weight had finally lifted. "You see it too late," I said softly. "That's the point, Maya. I don't need you anymore. You can't control me. You can't break me. And you certainly can't have me back." Her lips quivered, and for a moment, I almost felt something, regret, guilt, sorrow, but it wasn't for me. It was for her. For the life she'd thrown away. I can't believe you're so calm," she said finally. "After everything." I smiled faintly. "It's because I've rebuilt myself. I survived. I rose from the ashes of what you left behind. You can't touch that anymore." She looked down, shame and pain written all over her face. I lost you. I see that now. And it hurts so much." "Good," I said simply. "That's the lesson you needed. To understand what it feels like to lose someone who truly loved you. To realize that actions have consequences. And maybe, just maybe, to learn something from it." Maya's voice broke. "Alex, can't we, at least, try again?" "No," I said firmly, my voice steady. "We can't. You lost your chance. You can't take back time. You can't undo the pain you caused. I've moved on. I've grown. I'm untouchable now. And nothing you say or do will change that." She flinched, as if my words had struck her physically. "Alex, please." I said no, I interrupted, gently but with finality. "I'm done arguing. I'm done revisiting the past. You had your shot. You failed. I'm living my life now, and it doesn't include you. Her shoulders slumped. She looked defeated, hollow, like a ghost of the person who once controlled me. I didn't mean for it to end like this. Neither did I said quietly. But it did. And that's reality. That's life. You need to accept it. And so do I. She didn't speak for a long moment. Just stared at me, the tears shining in her eyes, the pain etched into her expression. Finally, she whispered, "Alex. I really am sorry. I hope you're happy." "I am," I said calmly. "I'm happier than I've ever been. Free, strong, untouchable. That's how it should be." Her hand trembled slightly as she turned away. I lost you," she said one last time. "Yes," I said softly. "You did. And that's something you'll carry for the rest of your life. Just like I carried the heartbreak you caused me. Only difference is, I used it to build myself. You wasted it." She left without another word. The sound of the door closing echoed in the office, leaving silence behind. Not emptiness, not despair, just calm. I sank into my chair, leaning back, letting the tension leave my shoulders. I wasn't elated, I wasn't satisfied. I was just at peace. Daniel called later that evening. "So, how'd the final showdown go?" I laughed softly, shaking my head. Final showdown? It felt surreal. She was desperate, guilty, regretful. But I didn't feel anything. No anger, no longing. Just clarity. "That's good," he said. "That's exactly where you need to be. You've conquered the past, man. You're untouchable. She can't hurt you. She can't affect you. You're free." "I know," I said, letting the words sink in. "I don't hate her. I don't want revenge. I just don't need her anymore. And I'm okay with that." "That's maturity," he said. "That's growth. Most people never reach that point." I smiled faintly. I guess it took losing everything to realize what I really needed, what I really wanted. "And what's that?" he asked. "Me," I said simply. "Freedom. Control. Strength. And the ability to build my own life without anyone else dictating my worth." Over the next few weeks, the silence from Maya continued. No messages, no calls, no appearances. And with each passing day, I realized how little she truly mattered anymore. Sophia and I worked closely, our bond deepening into trust, respect, and unspoken admiration. My business thrived. I thrived. I was finally living life on my terms. One evening, Sophia asked, "Do you ever think about her?" I paused. "Sometimes. But it doesn't hurt anymore." "Not really. She's a part of my past, nothing more. I've learned my lesson. I've grown. And that's all that matters." "Good," she said, smiling faintly. "Because that strength, that calm, it's yours. It's always been yours. You just had to survive to see it." I nodded, letting the words resonate. She was right. Everything I had endured, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the late nights crying myself to sleep, it had all led me here. To this moment. Free. Strong. Untouchable. And I knew, finally, that I would never let anyone have that power over me again. That night, as I walked home alone, I thought about Maya one last time. The girl who had meant everything, who had broken me, who had tried to claim me again. And I realized it didn't matter anymore. Not her. Not Victor. Not the past. I was untouchable. I was free. And nothing could change that. I smiled to myself, quiet, steady, unstoppable. And for the first time in years, I felt complete. I never imagined life could feel this steady. Clean. Ordered. My apartment in the new city was small but mine, my schedule precise, my work thriving. Every morning I woke up feeling the same sense of control I hadn't felt in years. Daniel popped into my office unexpectedly. "You're like unrecognizable, man. Calm, focused. You've built yourself something real." "I had to," I said, leaning back in my chair. "I lost everything once. I can't afford to lose myself again." "Fair enough," he said with a grin. "But I gotta ask, don't you miss, the fire? The chaos?" I shook my head. "Not anymore. The fire nearly destroyed me. I survived it, and now it's gone. What's left is stronger. Clearer. Better." Daniel chuckled. "Look at you, philosopher now." "Maybe," I said, smiling faintly. "Or maybe just a man who learned the hard way." Sophia knocked lightly on my office door. "Alex, you have a minute?" "Of course," I said, gesturing for her to come in. She leaned against the doorway, calm, steady. "I was thinking about the new campaign. I want you to lead it. Your ideas, your strategy, it's exactly what we need." I raised an eyebrow. "You're giving me full control?" She smiled faintly. "I trust you. You've grown, Alex. You've proven that you can handle more than anyone expects. Don't let that go." I nodded slowly. "I won't. I've learned the value of control. And I won't squander it." She hesitated, then said softly and personally, "I'm glad you're happy. Really." I felt a warmth in my chest I hadn't allowed myself to feel in years. "Thanks, Sophia. That means a lot. More than you know." The next few months were a blur of work, late nights, and progress. My team respected me. Clients trusted me. And for the first time, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. Daniel called one night. "So, when are you going to let yourself have something more? Not work, not money. I mean someone?" I laughed softly. "You mean someone like Sophia?" He whistled low. "Yeah, man. She's been around. You clearly like her. Stop pretending." I smiled faintly. "It's complicated. I don't jump into things. I've learned that lesson the hard way. But she's different. She's not part of my past. She's part of my present. And maybe my future." "Good. Keep it that way," he said. "Trust me, you've earned this calm, steady happiness. Don't let it slip away." I nodded. "I won't." One evening, Sophia and I stayed late to review a major client's strategy. She leaned against the table, coffee in hand. "Alex, I've seen a lot of people climb, rise, succeed. But you've transformed. It's not just the success. It's the way you handle yourself. You've built a life that's untouchable." I looked at her, the weight of her words sinking in. "I've fought for it," I said quietly. "I've lost, I've cried, I've been broken. And every moment I've endured brought me here. This life, it's mine. She smiled softly, almost shyly. I'm glad you see that. You deserve it. Anne. I'm proud of you, Alex. More than I can say. I felt my chest tighten, not with longing or regret, but with warmth. Connection. Trust. Something steady, something real. The world outside kept moving, but I had learned to move with it, not react to it. No more panic. No more heartbreak. No more wasted energy on people who didn't value me. I had news one morning. A high-profile client wanted to partner with us internationally. The project was massive. Risky. Impossible for anyone else to handle alone. But I could. And I would. Daniel called. I heard. Looks like you're going to conquer the world now. I laughed softly. Not the world. Just my corner of it. Carefully. On my terms. That's all that matters, he said. You've earned it, man. Don't let anyone take it from you. I won't, I said, feeling the weight of every past mistake, every betrayal, every sleepless night. I've earned this life. And I'm not letting it go. Sophia and I began to spend more time together outside of work. Dinner. Walks. Quiet evenings. There was a comfort I hadn't known since before Maya, a sense of partnership, trust, and shared ambition. One night, walking home together, she said softly, "You've built something amazing, Alex. I've never seen someone so grounded. You're inspiring." I smiled faintly. I've had to learn the hard way. Pain, betrayal, loss, it taught me what really matters. And now, I'm finally free to enjoy it. She paused, looking at me with those steady eyes. You deserve happiness, Alex. Real happiness. And I hope I can be part of it. I felt a spark of something new, hope, possibility, warmth. Not the chaos of the past, but calm, steady, mutual respect and connection. I think you already are, I said softly. There were moments, rarely, when I thought of Maya. A headline. A mutual acquaintance. A memory. But they didn't sting anymore. They didn't control me. They were just echoes of a life I had survived and left behind. I realized something crucial. The power I had gained wasn't just money, success, or respect. It was freedom. Freedom from manipulation, from heartbreak, from people who doubted my worth. And with that freedom, I had built a life worth living. Daniel met me at the office one evening. So, Sophia, he asked casually, leaning against the doorframe. I smiled faintly. Yeah, we're taking it slow. No rush. But it feels right. Finally. Good, he said. You deserve that too, man. A steady life, a partner, someone who gets you. Not someone who drains you, like, you know who. I nodded. Exactly. She's part of my present. My future. And that's enough. Daniel grinned. Good. I'm proud of you. Really. Thanks, I said quietly. I've finally learned that life isn't about chasing people. It's about building yourself. And then, everything else falls into place. As I walked home that night, the city lights shimmering on the wet streets, I felt a rare sense of peace. My past, my pain, my heartbreak, they were all behind me. I had survived. I had rebuilt. I had risen. And I was finally free. Sophia's hand brushed mine as we walked together, her presence steady, comforting, and real. I realized I didn't need the chaos, the lies, or the manipulation of the past. I had everything I wanted. Freedom, success, love, and control. I smiled quietly, savoring the calm. The life I had built alone was mine, and no one could take it away. I had reached a point I never thought I'd see again, complete clarity. The past no longer haunted me, the pain no longer dictated my choices, and Maya was just a shadow in a life I had fully reclaimed. Daniel burst into my office one morning, waving a newspaper. "Look at this." I raised an eyebrow. "What now?" He slammed it on the desk. The headline screamed, "Local socialite leaves career, loses everything, Maya's life in shambles." I blinked, scanning the article. Maya's business had failed. Her new relationship had ended. Friends who had once praised her now whispered behind her back. I felt nothing. Not gloating, not satisfaction. Just calm. "You okay?" Daniel asked, raising an eyebrow. I nodded slowly. "Better than okay. I'm free. And I think that's all that matters." "Good," he said, smirking. "Karma looks ugly on her, doesn't it?" I chuckled softly. She made her choices. She'll live with them. That's enough. Later that week, Sophia and I were reviewing the international campaign I was leading. Her calm presence beside me reminded me how far I'd come. "You're incredible, Alex," she said quietly. "I've never seen someone rise like this. You've survived everything, and yet, you're stronger than ever." I smiled faintly. It wasn't easy. Pain, betrayal. I had to let it all shape me without breaking me. "You did more than survive," she said. "You transformed. You've become someone untouchable. Someone who defines their own worth." I let her words sink in. Yeah, that's what I finally learned. My life isn't about anyone else controlling it. It's mine to build, to protect, to enjoy. She nodded, her hand brushing mine briefly. That spark of warmth, trust, and connection I had denied myself for years now felt steady, real, and safe. That night, walking home through the quiet streets, I thought about the past, Victor, the heartbreak, the nights I cried alone, but I didn't feel any of the old pain. Just clarity. I realized something essential. Closure isn't about revenge, anger, or gloating. Closure is about accepting the past, learning from it, and choosing not to let it touch your present. My phone buzzed. Another text from Maya. "Alex. I messed everything up. I don't know what to do. Please, can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a moment, then deleted it. Slowly. Calmly. I didn't need to reply. I didn't need to gloat. I didn't need to drag myself back into the chaos of someone else's mistakes. I thought of Daniel's words, "Don't let her touch you again. You're untouchable now." And he was right. The next day, I met Sophia for coffee. She looked at me curiously. "You're different now," she said. "There's no tension, no past lingering in your eyes. You're free." "I am," I said softly. "Completely. The past can't touch me anymore. I survived. I grew. And I've learned that life isn't about chasing people who don't value you. It's about building yourself and protecting your peace." She smiled faintly. "I'm proud of you, Alex. Truly. Anne. I'm glad I get to be part of this life with you. Not the chaos of the past, but the calm you've built." I took a slow breath, letting the moment settle. Me too. I've waited years to feel this. To finally be untouchable. And now, I am. Business continued to flourish. Clients, international partnerships, and new ventures kept me occupied. But now, it wasn't a desperate hustle to prove myself to anyone. It was deliberate, intentional growth. I wasn't running from the past, I was walking confidently into the future I had designed. One evening, Sophia and I celebrated a major milestone. She raised her glass. To growth, freedom, and everything you've built, Alex. To us, I said softly, clinking my glass against hers. And to a life we choose, not one we're forced into. Weeks later, I ran into Maya one last time. She hesitated outside my office, obviously trying to summon courage. I didn't rush to meet her. She looked smaller somehow, less confident, more human. Alex. I wanted to see you. One last time, she said softly. I studied her. There was no bitterness in my chest. No longing. Just clarity. Calm. Control. Why? I asked calmly. You had your chance. You threw it away. I know. I had to see you. To know if you were okay, she admitted. I nodded slowly. I'm more than okay. I'm alive. I'm thriving. I've rebuilt myself. And I've moved on completely. That's the life I earned. That's the life you'll never touch again. Her eyes filled with tears. Alex. I shook my head gently. Don't. You can't change the past. You can't hurt me. You can't matter to me anymore. That's the lesson you needed. And it's the lesson I've mastered. She nodded slowly, swallowing the lump in her throat. I understand. And then she left. That night, I walked through the city streets alone, thinking about everything, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the despair, and realized I had transformed completely. I was no longer the man who cried over Maya. I was no longer the man who sacrificed his dreams, his pride, his life for someone who didn't see his worth. I was free. Untouchable. Strong. And I had Sophia by my side, not because I needed validation, not because I needed someone to complete me, but because I had chosen her. Carefully. Intentionally. Calmly. The phone buzzed again. This time, it was Daniel. Guess who's finally out of the game, he teased. Who? I asked, smiling faintly. Your ex, he said. Karma's finally done its work. I laughed softly. I don't care about her anymore. That chapter is closed. Good. That's how it should be, he said. You're untouchable, Alex. Remember that. Always. I will, I said quietly. I've learned my lesson. I've survived everything. And now, I live for myself. Only myself. And for the people I choose to have in my life. As I walked home that night, Sophia's hand in mine, I realized the truth I had fought so long to reach. Peace, freedom, and self-mastery are worth more than any revenge. Worth more than any heartbreak. Worth more than any love that wasn't meant to nurture you. I smiled faintly, steady and sure. I had built this life alone, forged it from pain, betrayal, and heartbreak. And now, I could finally enjoy it fully, completely, without fear. I was untouchable. And nothing, or anyone, could change that. The city skyline glimmered outside my office window, the lights reflecting the life I had built. Everything I had fought for, the years of heartbreak, betrayal, and sacrifice, had finally led me here. Sophia leaned against the doorway, coffee in hand. "Late night again?" she asked, smiling softly. I shrugged. "You know me. Can't stop thinking about new strategies, new ventures." She laughed quietly. "You've changed, Alex. Completely. You're calm, focused, untouchable. But you also let yourself enjoy life now. That's rare." I smiled faintly. "I've learned. Pain teaches you more than pleasure ever could. And now, I'm finally living on my own terms." She stepped closer, her eyes steady. "And you have me. If you want." I felt a warmth I hadn't allowed myself in years. "I do," I said quietly. "I choose this life. I choose us. Carefully. Intentionally. Calmly. No chaos. No manipulation. Just growth and trust." Later that evening, Daniel joined me at my apartment. He handed me a glass of whiskey. "You really did it, man. You survived the worst, built yourself up, and didn't let the past drag you down." I nodded, taking a slow sip. It wasn't easy. Every day, I had to fight the urge to go back, to beg, to grieve. But I realized, the only person who could define my life was me. "Exactly," Daniel said. "And now you're free. Untouchable. No one controls you, no one hurts you, and no one can take your peace." I set my glass down, staring out the window. I've learned something crucial. Happiness isn't about revenge, or money, or proving yourself. It's about freedom. And protecting it. Choosing what you let into your life carefully. Daniel smirked. Wise words from a guy who cried over an ex years ago. Who'd have thought? I laughed softly. Yeah, that guy doesn't exist anymore. The next morning, Sophia and I walked through the park near my apartment. The early sunlight painted the city in gold, the air crisp and quiet. I realized that for the first time in years, I felt completely in control of my life, my emotions, and my future. "You seem at peace," Sophia said softly. "I mean, really at peace." I smiled faintly. "I am. I've learned to forgive myself for what I allowed in the past. I've learned to protect my heart. And I've learned that the only person I need to impress, or fear, is myself." She looked at me, admiration in her eyes. "That's beautiful, Alex. And inspiring. Truly." I took a deep breath. It's taken years to get here. Pain, heartbreak, betrayal, they were all necessary. But now I get to live freely. Fully. On my terms. And with you by my side. Her hand found mine, steady and warm. "And I'm glad I get to be here with you." Weeks turned into months. My business expanded internationally. I traveled to meetings, conferences, and launches, but always returned to the life I had built. A life of choice, control, and freedom. One evening, I sat in my office, Daniel beside me. "Ever think about her?" he asked, nodding toward the stack of old files, memories of Maya, the heartbreak, the chaos. I shook my head. "No. She's part of my past, not my present or future. I've learned from it, grown from it, and left it behind. Nothing she does or says can touch me anymore." Daniel grinned. "That's what I like to hear. Untouchable, Alex. Finally untouchable." I said quietly, letting the words settle. And that's the difference between surviving and thriving. Between living for others and living for yourself. Sophia and I celebrated another major client victory at my apartment. She raised her glass. To the life you built, Alex. The future you choose. To freedom, I said softly, clinking my glass with hers. To control, growth, and calm. And to never letting anyone manipulate or hurt me again. She smiled, eyes steady. I'm proud of you. And I'm grateful to be part of this future with you. I took her hand, holding it firmly but gently. Me too. Carefully. Intentionally. Calmly. Always. That night, I walked alone for a while, reflecting on the journey. I thought of the man I used to be, vulnerable, desperate, broken by betrayal and heartbreak. I thought of Maya, the chaos, the manipulation, and the pain I endured. And I realized how far I had come. I was no longer that man. I no longer gave away my heart blindly, nor allowed anyone to dictate my worth. I had fought, survived, and transformed. I had built a life worth living. Weeks later, Sophia and I planned our first international business trip together. Sitting across from her in a quiet cafe, she smiled softly. You're ready for this, aren't you? I nodded. Completely. I've faced the worst life could throw at me. I've survived betrayal, heartbreak, and manipulation. Now, I choose every step I take. Every choice I make. Every person I let into my life. And I'm honored to be part of it, she said softly. I'm honored you're here, I said quietly. This life, it's mine. But it's better because we share it. That evening, Daniel called. So, final verdict? Happy? I smiled faintly. More than happy. I'm free. I'm in control. I've built a life I love. And for the first time, I feel complete. Good, he said. Because that's all that matters, man. You've earned every bit of it. I have, I said quietly. Every sacrifice, every heartbreak, every tear, it all led me here. To this life. To freedom. To peace. And the best part? Daniel asked. I paused, smiling. The best part is that I'm untouchable. Finally. Completely. And no one can ever take that from me. Walking home that night, Sophia's hand in mine, I felt the city around me, alive and vast. Every street, every light, every quiet corner reminded me how far I had come. The past had no power over me. Betrayal had no hold. Pain had no control. I had rebuilt everything, my heart, my mind, my life. And now, I could step into the future I chose without fear, without doubt, without regret. I smiled faintly, steady, calm. I was free. I was strong. I was untouchable. And I knew, with certainty, that this life, my life, was mine to live, fully, freely, and forever.